Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us this Sunday morning, and I'm glad you could join us. I am very, very excited about this service this morning. It's particularly important, I think, to all of us, and it's titled, We Are Brave. Perfect. Because I think with so much going on the outside world and so much maybe going on in our inside world, our guest speaker is most welcome, Joe Mosher. Welcome, Joe Mosher. I'm so glad you can be our guest speaker today. So good morning, Joe. How you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm so excited to be here with you all. My name is Joe. I use they, them pronouns, and I am Director of Faith Formation at San Jose UU, but I like to think of it as Director of Religious Exploration and Worldview Formation, because not everybody relates to the word faith in the same way. But regardless of what my title is, I really love working with people of all ages, and I'm so excited to be here to talk with you today.
Oh, perfect. Well, thank you, Joe. I do appreciate it. So right at this point, we're going to go ahead and ask Ethel May to read our land acknowledgement, please. You're muted. Ethel May, you got to unmute yourself. You're muted.
I lost the button to ask her to unmute, so give me a moment.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, welcome, buenos dias. We are glad you're here and hope that in the next hour you will feel connected to a loving community committed to social and environmental justice. We acknowledge that Hayward, California is Ohlone land, and that for thousands of years, this land was inhabited by people who lived here peacefully and cared for the land in a way that honored all that was here before us. We hope that we can amplify that truth and learn from the Ohlone people what it means to be stewards of this beautiful land and to be inspired to form meaningful relationships with local indigenous peoples working to protect the sacred land, working to repair the injustices, and working to move forward together in honorable ways.
Hello again, everybody. I'm going to read our chalice lighting. This is from a book by a good friend of mine called Breaking and Blessing by Reverend Sean Barker Dennison. And this chalice lighting is called In Wholeness. There is no competition between this light and the darkness which holds it. Both the light and the darkness are holy. We light our chalice not to defeat the darkness, but because for a time we need the gifts of the flame, warmth and light to guide us and help us in our endeavors. And when the time comes, we will embrace again the gentle dark, which allows us to rest. And so we kindle this light with awareness and gratitude for light and dark and all that lies in between. Each with its gifts, each with its beauty, each part of a sacred and necessary whole. And the chalice I'm lighting this morning is a candle that my birth mother sent me a few weeks ago, which I'm really grateful for. There we go. All right, as we light our chalices, I'll go ahead and introduce the first song that we're going to listen to today. All of the songs we're listening to today are about bravery or about feeling your feelings and still pushing through them, which is a type of bravery. So this first song, you can close your eyes while you listen to it. You can watch the video while you listen to it. But whatever you do, just let the words soak over you and don't necessarily try to overthink it. Just listen, and I hope that you're blessed.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability. You're capable of anything. You achieve any dream. Please don't limit yourself. Don't live your life limited. It's not all sadness and misery. Life's a challenge, but you will succeed. Take control of how you feel in every circumstance. Work on yourself daily. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. Whoa, whoa, you have to believe in yourself. You don't have to hide anything. You can be your true self. Don't need to follow society. Never forget that you're blessed. Give thanks for everything. Even the hard times will turn out to be blessings. No matter how you feel, you can learn from your pain. It's there to make you great. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you. Whoa,
I found that song a while ago during a very difficult time when I really needed some encouragement. And I've made a point of keeping it on my playlist since, because I think that it's always good to go back to songs that remind you how brave and strong you are and what you have to live for. Our call to worship today is some lyrics, not the entire lyrics, but some lyrics to a song that really impacted me as a teenager by a band called Switchfoot. The song is called Dare You to Move. Welcome to the planet. Welcome to existence. Everyone's here. Everyone's here, and everybody's watching you now. Everybody waits for you now. What happens next? What happens next? I dare you to move. I dare you to lift yourself up off the floor. I dare you to move. I dare you to move like today never happened. Today never happened before. Welcome to the fallout. Welcome to resistance. The tension is here. The tension is here between who you are and who you could be, between how it is and how it should be. But I dare you to move. I dare you to move. I dare you to lift yourself up off the floor. I dare you to move like today never happened. Today never happened. Like today never happened before.
Hello, friends. You are my friend. That's what we say during circle time, right, friends? A happy heart circle time. And you know what we also do? And I'm going to move to the side, and you can see Valerie has her heart. What we like to do is we like to check in with our hearts. How does our hearts feel this morning? Right, friends? That's what we do. Valerie, let's check in with your heart. How does our heart feel? What is your heart telling you this morning? These feelings are very special. They're special because they belong to you. They belong to Valerie. These are special. So pay attention to what your heart is saying to you. And before I move on to the announcing the video, sometimes our heart needs kisses. You know what we do when our heart needs kisses? We kiss our finger and place it on our heart, just in case your heart might need a kiss. Well, Valerie and myself are very excited about introducing this next video. The next video is called Reflection in Me. And it has a great message, as does this service. So what we do now is Valerie did bring a heart on the mirror, and this is called the mirror of authenticity. Right, Valerie? That's right. And what this mirror is all about is that this mirror reflects what we look like physically, right? What we look like physically, and what we look like inside, our sense of self. We need to love our sense of self. Loving our sense of self. That's a really nice message. Thank you, Valerie. Whew. So, with this, I want you guys to settle back and enjoy the video. Woo-hoo! The reflection in me.
I like being you, said the reflection in the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I blushed. Me? Yes, you. And by the way, you have wonderful eyes. I blinked, astonished. I do? Absolutely. They sparkle like stars on the darkest of nights. I gazed downward. Thank you. Your eyes sparkle too. Sweet of you to say. You have a marvelous voice. I gently whispered, You really think so? Of course. You sound as joyous as a songbird, whistling in the trees. And you have a magnificent smile. I sheepishly grinned. Well, Mama always says, start every day with a smile. I agree. Your smile is as bright and cheerful as the sun in the sky. And you are quite smart. I took a step towards the mirror. I do try very hard. You sure do. You're as brilliant as a rocket scientist. I like that you are friendly. I leaned in closer. It's very important to be nice, you know. It sure is. You're as peaceful as a butterfly. And you have a lot of courage. I raised my head high. I auditioned for the school play today. Outstanding. You're as brave as a lion. You're a fantastic dancer. I spread my arms wide. Watch how fast I can twirl. Around and around I went. Amazing. You're as graceful as a dolphin gliding through the sea. I plopped on the ground, giggling as the room playfully spun around. And you have a terrific laugh. Thank you very much. Your chuckle fills the air with bubbly joy. But most of all, I like your heart. Your kindness is as beautiful as a rainbow. I stood up and walked towards the mirror. To me, you are perfectly perfect. I gently pressed my hands against the glass. I like being you. We smiled in unison. I like being you too. I want to be you forever.
I like being you. What a great message that is. Oh, look. Woohoo! Valerie's very excited about that message. Well, Valerie, I love you and thank you for joining me for introducing the video. And I'm glad you enjoyed the video. Now it's time for our joys and sorrows. So thank you, Valerie, for joining us. Friends, it's time for our joys and sorrows. This would be a time where you will reserve the chat box just for the joys and sorrows, please. David will be reading them and I will be lighting the candles.
I would like to start off actually with a sorrow and a prayer for the people of Haiti who still haven't recovered from the earthquake 10 years ago, had their president assassinated last month, and now another devastating earthquake with a tropical storm on its way. May we do whatever we can to support them. From Maria Christina and Mama Lily. They are grateful for a restful vacation in Puerto Rico and a safe return home with our friends at Starr King family. We're glad you had a good time and we're glad you're back. It was Al Murdoch's 84th birthday last Thursday, August 3rd. Happy birthday, Al. From Stuart Fink, for Peter Chong, who suffered a stroke Friday while attending a luncheon with his wife and family in celebration of their 70th wedding anniversary. We're so sorry. From Maria Christina, grateful for Frank and Stephanie, who took such good care of our kitty Rafika while we're on vacation. From Jennifer, a candle of joy for my grandmother's 91st birthday today. From Leah Cassini, had a lovely 30th wedding anniversary, taking the ferry to Sausalito with David. Happy anniversary. From Amy P, a joy to be starting my master's in social programs at San Jose State and internship, excuse me, internship with the East Agency for Children. Wish me luck. We wish you luck, and I apologize for the phone ringing. We'll give it a couple of minutes, as I know people sometimes take a while to type them in. From Beth, a candle of concern for those who have been without power due to storms the past few days in my area. From Sheila McKellen, a joyous welcome to MC and Mommy Lily. From Daryl Ray, a candle of sorrow for the passing of two great grandmothers, excuse me. Our sister-in-law Nola's mother Donna, and for our son-in-law John's grandmother Pat. We're hearing our thoughts. From Joanna, a candle of joy for Tiaras to start first grade on Wednesday. And not seeing any, take that back, here we go. Mary Lazak for a family meeting today to address my mother's health. We hope that goes well. And seeing no more in the chat box, we light one less candle for the joys and sorrows that are in our heart.
Blessed be. Thank you, David. And now Joe will lead us in our prayer, please.
First off, to close off from joys and sorrows, I'm going to say this. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. One more time. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding you. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love. Now for our prayer before our next musical meditation. This is an adaptation of a song called The Prayer, which has been sung by Andre Bocelli, Charlotte Church, Celine Dion. But I think it's really beautiful. I'm an agnostic, so I don't pray particularly to any one deity, but I pray to the universe in general. So here we go. I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go, and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be safe. When stars go out each night, when sadness fills our day, lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, give us faith so we'll be safe. We ask that life be kind and watch us from above. We hope each soul will find other souls to love. Let this be our prayer, just like every child. We need to find a place, so guide us with your grace. Give us faith, so we'll be safe. Our next song is another musical meditation, and it's upbeat. And I like upbeat meditations sometimes when I need encouragement and empowerment. This song is by a man named Thomas Bergerson, who is more famously known for being part of the epic music group Two Steps from Hell. They do music for soundtracks, they do music for all kinds of movies. So this song is called Titan's Dream. And Titans, if you don't know what they were, they're these big, powerful beings in mythology. So the lyrics to this song are very simple. Strong. I am strong, so strong, so strong. Can you hear me? Strong, I am in me, so strong. So just let this rush over you too. Here we go.
That was nice. Thank you, Joe. I am honored at this point in the time in the service to introduce Joe Mosher, and I'm so glad you're here with us, Joe. They have a master's degree of social change, earned this at Starr King School of Ministry. And I'm particularly excited about this, Joe, your positive affirmation of we are brave. We are so very looking forward to your sermon. Joe's calling is the changing of hearts and minds to be more tolerant through altruistic compassion for all of the oppressed, through patient communication amid conflict, and through genuine connection, fostering across diverse identities. Thank you, Joe, and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I graduated from Starr King in 2018, and I've continued my work at San Jose Unitarian Universalist Church since then. I'm also an artist and a filmmaker and some other things, but everything I do, I really try to help other people heal, because I believe that one of the gifts, the only gift I think of trauma, is that we're able to help others heal too. So I want to start off by making an affirmation about myself, which years ago I never would have been able to say. I'm one of the bravest people I know. I'm one of the bravest people I know. And I'm certain that probably you are all one of the bravest people that you know too. Just want you to sit with that for a minute. You are probably one of the bravest people that you know too. We need to tell ourselves that, I think, often. So what does bravery actually mean? Well, for me, we've been brave, all of us, long before COVID happened. And I want to remind us of that today, because I think we need to have that reminder. When do you need to be brave? What situations cause bravery to be needed? You can be brave because you're feeling sad. You can be brave because you're feeling fearful. You can be brave because you're feeling grief and loss, which are also parts of sadness. You can be brave because you're feeling pain. So there are many, many reasons that we need to be brave. And for me, especially during the pandemic, the main one has been about fear and grief, because I've been lonely for my friends and I've been in fear. And I think most of us probably have. But I'm going to tell you a bit about my story. We all have stories. I think it's important to share them because we can find strength in hearing each other's stories. And this is an encouragement for you all to share with each other even more, if you're not already, your own stories. It reminds us to speak out loud how brave we are. So I was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1988. So I'll do the math for you. I'm 33. I was adopted. I was given up as a baby into a white family. So I was raised in the Atlanta suburbs. My dad was a pilot for Delta. My mom was a flight attendant for Delta. They retired. My mom was 40. Well, she did to homeschool us. But unfortunately, I was raised in a conservative Christian fundamentalist cult. So when I came out as, well, first off, I had horrible messages about race and about gender, and that basically men should rule the world and slavery wasn't so bad. So there was a lot of rough things that I was exposed to as a child. But when I came out as bisexual, my church excommunicated me and my parents threw me out of the house. I later came out a year later as trans as well. But I didn't know how strong I was until I was forced to be strong. And unfortunately, a lot of that being strong came with trauma. And what is trauma? If you don't know what that word means, trauma means something big in your life happened that was bad, and it hurts you so deeply that you carry it with you always. And we learn to deal with trauma, but it's always there, and it causes sadness, and it can make us be afraid. So that's where the bravery comes in. So I was able to go to college while I worked a bunch of jobs. Then I went to grad school first at University of Alabama for a degree in documentary filmmaking. And then I came to seminary at Starr King for a degree in social justice and change. I healed a lot from my Christian trauma over the years. I actually spent a lot of time in an LGBT church in Atlanta where they helped me really believe that Jesus could love me even though I was queer. And not just even though, but because I was queer and because it was beautiful. But after that, I figured out that my worldview was too big to just be a Christian. So I became a Universalist. And when I walked into my first Unitarian Universalist church in my college town, they were all like, do you need any information? Do you need to know anything? And I was like, oh, no, I know all about Unitarianism already, because growing up, it was like the worst thing you could become if you were a Christian was a Unitarian Universalist. So my family was more upset about that than they were even about me being trans, because we were Calvinists. And if you go way back to Servetus and John Calvin, Servetus was burned at the stake, and he's often considered one of the first founders of Unitarian Universalism, way back before it had a name, but the ideas he had. So there's a history between Calvinists and Unitarians. So by me becoming a Unitarian, that was the last thing that finally made me everything that I was not supposed to be, according to where I came from. So I really relate to movies about people who figure out that everything they believed was wrong about life, and that they have to change and be completely different, because it takes a lot of bravery. You know, I tell people all the time when they're being critical of people who are conservative, meaning people who might not love gay people or people who might be racist or whatever, I tell them it takes a lot of bravery to walk away from a family that tells you bad things about the world, because you might lose everything. It's potential for that. I had to get all new friends over the years. I lost so many people because of being true to who I am. But you know what I've found? The people that I've made after that, those friendships are so much more deeper and valuable to me, because they know me for all of who I am and they accept me. And it doesn't take all the pain away from losing my family, but it does heal me. And then, as I mentioned earlier about my chalice, I actually met my birth mother 4 years ago now. We found each other on ancestry.com. And she is a Christian, but she's, I would say, moving toward being a Universalist Christian. She very much believes that God's not going to send anybody to hell just because they're gay or just because of this or that. And we're able to have conversations where she's learning from me. She lives in the Deep South, but she's learning from me about social justice. And it's so beautiful to be able to share that journey with her and have her be interested in wanting to learn about what my life is like as someone who's multiracial and trans in America. We talk a lot about systemic racism, which means how the entire country has racism in every part of it. We talk a lot about, COVID right now and people's safety or lack thereof, especially for her in the Deep South. But what I've learned a lot about being in connection with my birth mother is that it also brings up some sadness, because, you know, I wasn't with her since I was a little kid. So you have to work through that. But it's so wonderful to have her in my life now. And it's helpful to be able to share things with her, because I miss my mom that I grew up with, and I miss my dad. So I'm really grateful to have a mother back in my life, even though we don't talk all the time. So another thing I want to talk about that's part of my story is depression. What does depression mean? For those of you who don't know, you might not have heard that word before, but depression means that sometimes you just feel really sad and there's no reason for it. Unless there is, sometimes you can have depression and it's because there was something that caused you to feel sad and it keeps coming back up to your mind. But my depression is called existential dread, which means I sit around thinking all the time. If I'm not watching my brain, it starts to think things like, why am I even here? What's the point of life? Why do I keep trying? And what's the solution is I have to train my brain. A brave brain has to be a strong brain. And you have to train your brain that when you start thinking a certain way, you stop and you turn and you focus on something else. Sometimes we need to have a moment to process our feelings, but those have to be very intentional. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to feel this sad stuff, and then I'm going to be able to find a little peace and then move on. Because that's, unfortunately, not all of us are able to go to grief retreats for a month, or just stop our job and just do our healing. We have to find pockets of time that we can do it. And finding that time, it can take effort, especially if you're exhausted, but it's being brave. It's doing what you have to do to keep yourself able to keep going. And so with my depression, my sadness, a lot of the bravery is telling myself, I haven't always felt this way. I won't always feel this way. I haven't always felt this way. I won't always feel this way. And just like that wonderful video that we watched, a lot of being brave is about talking to yourself in positive ways. As a little kid, I got a lot of negative messages. you're never going to be good enough. You should be grateful that you're not being sent to hell, that you should think of yourself as a worm. Literally, you're so horrible and disgusting that you should be grateful that you're not going to hell. So when I became an adult, I literally had to rewire my brain. You know, when I feel a memory that makes me feel shame, I used to go stupid, 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 stupid. And now I go, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And it takes practice to get those words to stick in your head as the first reaction now. But it's so important to being brave. And a loss is a very thing that needs bravery about. One of my best friends died just about a month ago, and it was very sudden. And I have a lot of grief about people I've lost in my life, either through death or because they couldn't love me anymore for who I really am. And that was really hard. She was one of the people I'd known since I was a child, one of the few friends that also got out of that toxic place and escaped. And then this week, my cat died. And he's been with me my entire adult life for 10 years. And I picked this name for the service way before I knew my cat was going to die. He died really suddenly. But another type of bravery is learning to feel our feelings as we can and to continue on living. It's hard sometimes. You get really bogged down. And I always feel saddest first thing in the morning because of my depression. So what I tell myself is, don't believe a single thing my brain says until my medicine starts working and until I've eaten some food. Just don't listen. Just say, I'm not going to listen to you. No, 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 no. So again, a big part of bravery is finding ways to support ourselves so that we don't focus on the things that make us feel sad and keep us scared. And then the other part of bravery is chasing our dreams. It can be really intimidating and scary. I'll share with you my biggest dream. My biggest dream is to finish my PhD and to become a professor. And then I also want to get an RV and travel the world and have a megaphone and just yell at people, you are loved. The universe loves you. I love you. There is no hell. Everything's going to be okay. Because the people you usually hear running around with megaphones are saying, you're going to hell. You need something to fix you. And also our culture, our very culture tells us that we should be scared and that we should feel like we're incomplete. And the economy, if you don't know what economy means, that means the way we use money and how we buy things. An economy thrives off of scared people buying stuff to try to make themselves not feel so scared, or people who feel incomplete trying to make themselves feel more complete. And as we find contentment, brave people heal the world, and brave people don't need as many things to make them feel safe and happy in the world. Not that there's anything wrong with having things, but it's a different mindset. So being an ally is also a way of being brave, especially in the South where I'm coming from. If you're a redneck white person in the South and you tell your friends, hey, I think trans people are wonderful, that's not only you're going to lose your friends, it's also dangerous. They might try to hurt you. So being an ally can be very brave. And stepping away from being an ally, the next step, being an accomplice, which means you're actually helping people do stuff in the work instead of just saying that I am an ally. Being an accomplice can also be a way of being brave. And of course, those of us who are minorities who need support, and if you don't know what a minority means, it means that there's not necessarily less of us, but we have a lot less power and a lot less safety than the people in the rest of the country. So if you're a woman, if you're a trans person of any identity, if you're disabled, if you're brown, black, API, any of these things, and many more, then you're considered a minority. And it takes a lot of bravery for us to live every day. And you can be a white man who's straight and who's not trans, and you can still be brave too. There are times, but the way our culture is built, often those of us who aren't those things have to be extra brave. And that we're helped with that by the support we have. It's all about connection. One of my favorite Samuel Clemens / Mark Twain quotes is, the best way to cheer yourself up is by trying to help cheer someone else up. And I think that really speaks to connection and how we need it. So for the last few minutes here, I'm going to set a timer for 3 minutes. And what I want you to do is try to remember any time you want to think of where I'm going to do 3 minutes and 30 seconds because I like that number for some reason. But if you will just try to think for a minute about one instant in your life when you were very brave. I want you to close your eyes, or if that doesn't work for you, then just look, out somewhere. I'm going to start a timer, and this is just for you. You're not going to have to share it with anyone unless you want to. It could be something you decide you want to share. But we're all going to sit here for 3 minutes and 30 seconds and try to think of one time that you were really brave. So here we go. I'm setting the timer now. One minute left. Ten seconds. Trying to give you a soft return. And we'll stop there. I'm going to end it before the timer goes off, and it's a little jarring. So what did that feel like for you all? Just show me some facial reactions. Well, did it feel like a really long time? How many people felt like it was a really long time? Yeah. How many people felt like their brain was wandering and it was hard to focus on just one time? Yeah. Well, my encouragement is that I'm really bad at meditation, but the more that I focus on telling myself I have exactly 3 minutes and 30 seconds to work on this, your brain can kind of adjust and learn, okay, I'm going to spend 3 minutes and 30 seconds or whatever amount of time you want, a minute and 30 seconds, whatever. But it's really good for me to remember times that I was brave because I need them in the times that I'm not feeling brave. And yeah, coming out was one of the ones that I think of, but also I had a horrible accident a few years ago and I had a lot of things happen that hurt my body, but I survived it and I survived the rehabilitation for 6 months afterward. And it showed me how strong, not just my soul is, but my body is too. And so here, I'm going to end the talk with this really quick thing. This is a quote. Creativity is the antithesis of trauma. I'll read it again. Creativity is the antithesis of trauma. And it's an anonymous quote. I don't remember who wrote it. I have to look it up, but I'm going to boil that down if people don't know what the word antithesis means. Creativity means doing art, doing music, doing whatever it is that your soul wants to express itself by doing. Antithesis means the opposite. So being creative, doing all these things is the opposite of having trauma, which we talked about earlier, which is bad things happening to you. So we heal by being creative. So my challenge for you is to make yourself feel extra brave. Dive into whatever it is you love to do, cooking, drawing, skateboarding, whatever it is, because that'll help you feel more brave. And so we're going to end with these affirmations. You're going to say them after me. There's 4. Deep breath. I am brave. Here's the next one. I am not alone. I can survive anything. I can heal from anything. Thank you all so much. I'm so grateful that we got to have this talk. And moving right along, we're going to have our next song. This is the one hymn that we'll sing that's from the book. So I love this one. It reminds me a lot of how much I have motivation to stay alive and to keep going, even on the days when I'm feeling depressed. There's still that spark of hope and that spark of wanting to keep going. So we're going to sing Just As Long As I Have Breath, number 6 from our book. And there's going to be a video and they'll be singing. So feel free to sing along with the video, or you can just listen. But that is our next song, Just As Long As I Have Breath.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as visionless, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
I'm breathing right now, Joe. I tell you, this was excellent. And I'm checking in with my heart. In fact, we all could at this point. What is our heart saying to ourselves? And I feel that probably during our quiet times, Joe, we will reflect back on your sermon. Thank you. This is a time for our offertory. Our church is a gift. We are a gift to one another. And together, we gladden the whole earth and make that every heart is great. I express my gratitude for your contribution. You can check your chat box and all the different ways you can contribute, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Blessed be.
For our chalice extinguishing, I have a very short thing I'm going to say, but I think it's very deep. So I want you to listen to it. I'll read it through 2 times. This is by John Lennon. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. Our closing song, oh, I extinguished my chalice. Our closing song is one that I heard when I first moved to Berkeley. And I was going through some pain at that time because one of my friends had also died at that point when I moved. And when I came to Berkeley, my friend said, "Hey, Carrie Newcomer is going to be in town." And I was like, I have no idea who that is. And so I was like, but I'll tag along. And then it turned out Carrie Newcomer is a pretty well-known person who has touched a lot of people with her music. So she had this one song called Lean In Towards the Light. And the chorus goes, lean in towards the light. So if you listen, you can sing along if you want. Whenever she goes, lean in towards the light. And again, it's not to say that the darkness is bad. We need it too. But I really like this song because it's about rejuvenation and new life and leaning in towards the light in moments we need it. So here we go. Lean In Towards the Light by Carrie Newcomer.
Winter is the oldest season, but quietly beneath the snow, seeds are stretching out and reaching, faithful as the morning glow. Carry nothing but what you must. Lean in toward the light. Let it go, shake off the dust. Lean in toward the light. Today is now, tomorrow beckons. Lean in toward the light. Keep practicing resurrection. Lean in toward the light. Of this world will say there's no hope, why try anyway? Every kindness, large or slight, shifts the balance toward the light. Waters winding open wide. Lean in toward the light. Don't just walk when you can fly. Seems in short supply. Lean in toward the light. Let beauty be our truest guide. Lean in toward the light. There's no hope, why try anyway? Every kindness, large or slight, shifts the balance toward the light. The prayer I pray at eventide. All left undone be put aside. When forgiveness is hard to find.
That song just makes me get tingly every time I hear it in my head. It just feels so wonderful. And also, I'm from the South, so I like the fact that it kind of sounds kind of bluegrassy. So there's that. It feels like home. All right. For our benediction, I'm going to read you something by Dr. Seuss. Congratulations. Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. Well, 98.75% guaranteed. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting. Go, get on your way.
That was nice. Thank you again, Joe.